In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial on how to cut and sew this stylish corset dress with a ruffle sleeve. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button. And this dress is from Verti brand. So if you're a beginner and you're still having issues on how to draft a perfect and simple corset pattern, join us on our 5 days corset class where we'll be teaching you how to draft different types of corset and also how to take proper measurements for your corset. This class is going for 4,000 naira only. To register, go ahead to send us a message on our WhatsApp number. So here is my pattern, and I've gone ahead to mark out my basic measurements, which includes my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, and shoulder to waistline. Next step, I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2, and I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope or my shoulder slant. So after that, I'm going to go ahead to place my tape and mark out my basic neckline of 3 inches so that it will serve as a guide when I'm drawing out my shoulder slope. So I'll go ahead to connect. The next step is to go ahead to find my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. I made a mark on that point and I will draw out. Go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2 and I'll place my ruler and connect. After this, I'm going to place my tape and divide what I have here into 2. I'll come out here by ½ inch. Go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. Now, I'll place my ruler and connect to this point and also extend this to the upper part. Next, I'll be marking my dart intake. And to mark your dart intake, you need to start by marking your nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches, which I marked all the way to the lower part of my pattern. Now, I'll place my ruler and I'm going to go ahead to draw out a straight line. So after I'm done marking that, I'll be marking my dart intake of 1 inch on both sides. Now, if you're a plus size or you're a bit busty, you should use 1.5 inches on both sides. So now I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I will connect. After I'm done connecting, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to use my marker to outline my pattern. So after I'm done outlining my pattern, the next step is to go ahead to place my ruler and I'll connect from the bust down to the under bust. So next, I'll mark out my basic neckline of 3 inches by 3 inches. This will serve as a guide, although I'm not making use of the yoke. Now, I'll divide what I have remaining at the shoulder by folding my tape and I will mark the midpoint. Now, I'll place my ruler and I will connect. After I'm done connecting, I'm going to go ahead to mark where I want my cup to start. So I'll be using about 2 inches above my chest line, and for that, at that point I'll rule out a straight line. So I'll be marking a dart intake of 1 inch on both sides and I will connect and also connect at the other side. Now you want to go ahead and use your marker to outline this. After you're done outlining this part of your corset, go ahead to insert your measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Then I'll measure my dart intake, replace, and I'll also add my sewing allowance to this pattern. So you can use any sewing allowance of your choice for this particular pattern. So now I'll go ahead to mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure this dart intake, replace, and I'll add my sewing allowance. At the waistline, I want to snatch my waistline a little. My waistline is 28 inches and I want to take it to 26 inches. So what I will do is I'll use the direct method where I will take out 2 inches from my waistline and what I have left is 26. That 26, I'll divide it by 4, and what I'll have is 6.5. I will measure this dart intake I have here and I will replace it by the side and add my sewing allowance. So when I was recording, my phone stopped and I didn't realize that. So I'll be explaining how I got this measurement. Now at the lower part, I'm going to mark my hip circumference divided by 4, and my hip is 40 divided by 4. I have 10, which I added replaced my dart intake and I also added my sewing allowance. By the side, I came up by 2 inches and I went ahead to connect this all the way down. So that is the part of my video that was missing, and after that I just had to connect back my pattern. So that is connecting from the bust to the under bust and from the under bust to the waist. Now I want to mark my bust dart, and to get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17, my shoulder to waist at the back is 15 and a half. So taking out 15 and a half from 17, what I have left is 1.5. After this, the next step I'm going to take now is to go ahead to mark out my cup line. So at the chest line, I'll just go in by ½ inch, and from there I'll connect this to this point. And after I'm done connecting at that point, that is from the cup to the chest line, I'll go ahead to extend this way. So when I'm extending my cup, I'll take note of this side because of the sleeve I'm going to attach to the dress, which I'll be attaching much later. But I'll go ahead and outline this part of my pattern, but I'm not making use of the yoke. So after I'm done connecting at that point, the next step we are going to work on is the under bust area. I'm going to connect from the under bust to the upper part, and at the side of my pattern I will go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 and add ½ inch to it. So if you're on a plus size or you have a bigger bust, you have to mark like 1 inch or 1.5 to accommodate your bust by the side. So you can go ahead to blend out your side pattern this way. And after I'm done blending that out, what I'm going to do now is to go ahead to hold it down. If you want to make your corset a 3-part corset, all you have to do is just extend it all the way to the sides from the center. So I'll do that when we are actually making the dress. So I'll just go ahead and I will cut out my pattern, and after cutting it out, this is what my pattern looks like. So all I'll do now is to go ahead to tape this as one. So I'll be cutting it as one piece. So I'm trying to make the video shorter because I'm having difficulties uploading longer videos because of network issues. So I'm going to keep this video simple, so if you have any question you can still ask at the comment section. So here's my back pattern. I've gone ahead to mark out the basic neckline. So for the back neckline, I'm using 3 by 1.5 inches, although I'm not making use of it. The next step I'll take is to mark my dart, which is your nipple to nipple divided by 2. I'll place and connect a straight line. So now I'll be marking a dart intake of ½ inch on both sides. So remember, we are using a bust dart also, which means my shoulder to waist at the back is shorter. My shoulder to waist at the back is 15 and a half inches. So after connecting my dart lines, I'm going to go ahead to mark my measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, and I'll add my sewing allowance to the pattern. So from the waist, I'll mark the waistline I used for the front, replace this dart intake and add my sewing allowance to the side. So after I'm done marking that, the next step is to go ahead to mark my hip circumference and also add my sewing allowance. So for your sewing allowance, you can use between 1 to 2 inches. Now I'll still come up by 2 inches just like we did for the front, and I'll go ahead to connect. After I'm done connecting my pattern right now, I'll come in by 2 inches because that is where I want my lacing bar to start, and I'll mark this all the way to the lower part and then draw out a straight line. So this 2 inches is not a standard. Go ahead and use what is okay for you. So after I'm done marking this right, I'm just going to go ahead to come down by ½ inch here because you don't want your lacing to be popping up at the upper part. So after I'm done marking this right, I'm just going to draw out the yoke part of this dress, but I'm not making use of the yoke. When we are cutting out, we'll just cut out the lower part of the pattern. So in case for people that also want to learn how to draft out a pattern, a back pattern with a yoke, this video is also okay for that. Now I'll go ahead to cut out my pattern. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button. So for the sleeve of the dress, I'll be doing the cutting when we are actually sewing the dress. This is to reduce the length of this video because I'm having issues uploading longer videos. So join us in our next video where we'll be sewing this dress.